And I don't see Dave Matthews yet, but he's going to.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have some announcements? I know we have some announcements. Caitlin looks like she has an announcement.
I do.
She was nodding vigorously, but you have to come up here by the podium.
I didn't want to spill her coffee because I know it's important. Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin. You know who I am. I need to change my diaper, so thank you for that. So I am the Rotaract president, the cabinet, and the whole of it. We decided that we're going to do a fundraiser at Fido's with Rotaract and Block O. This fundraiser will help us gather some much needed foundation funds that we need in order to run programs like Dublin's Got Talent and a bunch of other fun fellowship events. I have some flyers here. The front part of the flyer is just a brief information about the Rotaract Club. So when you pick up the flyer, I ask that you give it to somebody you know. You can keep it too if you want, but you know where we're located online. So yeah. And then the back side of it is the 3 organizations that are helping to sponsor it. Fido's is going to give us half of our food for free. So show up. That's our logo, Rotaract. And then we're pairing with Block O, which is a business networking organization that we've been able to pull at least 40% of our membership from. So we decided to partner with them again for this event. We're hoping for a good turnout. It's August 5th. It's the first day of the Dublin Fest in downtown Dublin for the Irish Festival. So we're hoping after the event to kind of stroll the streets and hand out little flyers about the club from people that are coming in from either out of town or even out of the city, as we are part of District 6690, and we can take everyone in that district. I have flyers. I'll be putting them on your tables. If you want one individually, I'll give you one. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. Caitlin does an amazing job with our Rotaract group, and we have the only Rotaract group in the district. So we want to keep supporting that.
White people, the only white people,
In the what?
the only white people. The only young professionals.
The only young professional Rotaract group in the district. Thank you, Claudia. All right. I know Roberta has several announcements.
Yeah, I do. Is that the microphone? Okay, mark your calendars. September 24th, we're having an in-service Rotary meeting. So that means at 7:30, 7:45, we are going to be working on a project here in this room, and we need you all to please come. So mark your calendars. September 24th, we're going to be stuffing baggies, Ziploc bags, with mac and cheese and applesauce and granola bars and some other stuff that we are going to be buying and hopefully collecting from you, either in money or goods. So we'll probably start collecting in August. Also, second announcement, I need help with photography because I'm not always going to be here. So if you have a cell phone, it takes pictures. All you have to do is press the button and then send me the picture and I'll upload it, or whoever is working on the story that day. Easy, easy peasy. Just please contact me or Ori. To send photos to me, Roberta Kane at Gmail. or roberta@robertakane.com or info@robertakane.com, any of those. Just so it has Roberta Kane in the email, it'll get to me. Is that good? Okay, robertakane@gmail. Just send the photos to me. I'll upload them to all 3 websites. I upload them to Facebook and to Flickr and to the website. So, okay, you don't even have to do that. Okay, and
Just 2. You said several.
yes, there's one more. I need someone to take photos at the perfect party, please. Thank you. I'm done.
All right, thank you, Roberta.
And on that note, the flyer says May 21st. Ignore that. It's August 5th. Just scan it to yes, it'll tell you the right date and all the other details.
I mean, that's such a minor detail.
It's such a you can show up in 2001.
I'm sure everyone will get it.
That'd be great.
All right. I think Claudia has an announcement. I know she's been sitting here giving other people instructions already.
Passed this around last week. I'm passing it again for address or phone updates. So we're going to update the directory. For those of you on Zoom, you also received one. If you've changed your home number or don't have a home number anymore, or you change your cell number or your address, just send me an email and I'll get the directory updated.
And your email is?
My email is Claudia at Trustee and Company, but everybody knows.
Is it Gmail, Yahoo?
Do we have
Google it.
other announcements? Dave has announcements. Gotta come all the way up, Dave.
Good morning, Rotary. That's a little bit, our little reaction out of the crowd always helps. Listen, after a year of not doing anything, this club has more fundraising activities in the near term than you can shake a stick at. But we have another one coming up in September. We're going to be offered the opportunity to park cars at OSU games at the BMI Credit Union, just off Kinnear Road. And we need 10 volunteers per date. We have 3 dates that are now looking to us to man the parking lot. September 11th, September 18th, and September 25th. They're all home games. One's at 3 o'clock, one's at noon, and the other is still TBA. So the shift would be about a 6-hour shift of parking cars. We have to be there 3 hours prior to game time. And then once we get all the cars parked, then we just pull up the signs and stuff like that to clean it up before we leave. It's $20 a car and it all comes to us. So this is a great opportunity. We have potential to earn about $2,000 a day. So that could be a total of $6,000 that we could get various, but I need 10 folks each shift because we need marshalers to show cars where the open spots are. We need people that are taking cash. And then we have just general folks that help out move with people's questions. Stuff like that.
Probably a dumb question, but where do the volunteers park?
There will be a location there on site for us. That's why we get there 3 hours early. Okay. So they start blocking the parking lot off 3 hours prior to game time because otherwise people try to sneak in without paying. So this is a great opportunity, and Rotaracts can join us, but you can bring your spouse, so it doesn't have to be all Rotarians. If you want to bring your spouse or family member to help out, we'll have the Rotary vests or the aprons there to help that. So it's a great opportunity, but I'll be putting a sign-up sheet, and then I'll be passing one around. And then each week prior to the game day, we'll be meeting at Friday for the team that's working that weekend, so we can go over what the instructions are and everything like that here at the club and on Zoom. So great opportunity.
It's a great opportunity.
Do you have another announcement
Do I have another announcement?
of the Veterans Committee?
Oh, the District 6690 has announced that they have formed a Veterans Affairs Committee at the district level based on the model that we started here at the Dublin Club. So we're very excited. Dwight Seeley and I will be the co-chairs on the district committee, and our role is to help other clubs within the district look to see if they want to have a Veterans Affairs Committee and what we do and how we do it. And they're using us as a direct model to help support growing the total support of veterans throughout the 6690 Central and Southeast Ohio. So this is a major step forward for the district. This is the first of a kind, so we're excited to be a part of it.
That is great. All right, I have two announcements. One is the Perfect Party. Peter just resent the email invite yesterday, so if you haven't been in your email for a while, take a look. It's August 14th at 6:30 at my house. And if anybody's concerned about being indoors with a big group, just know that we've got plenty of space outdoors, so you can feel safe and Dwight. Question?
can't be there, can we Zoom?
No, no, maybe just for you. No zooming.
Just put a camera up in your kitchen for everyone. Like,
And then the other announcement is Andy also sent out an announcement, I think it was yesterday morning. So if you haven't been in your email file, go into your email. We have, as of yesterday morning, we have 12 slots to fill for Irish Days. Now we just have 7. So thank you to those of you that signed up. And Andy couldn't be here this morning, but he said that some of the old standbys haven't signed up yet. And I don't think he was referring to anybody's age. So if we could fill those 7 slots, it's Saturday the 7th. The first shift starts at 3 o'clock, ends at 7:30. The second shift starts at 7, ends around 10:30 or 10:45. So take a look for that email. And I think, are there any other announcements? Okay. Jeff Shaner is our sergeant.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
How's everybody doing? Great, great. Gosh, it's been a while since I've done this, so I had to kind of readjust myself and get back in the swing of things. But I'll make things quick just because Christine is here to talk about the city, which I think is really important and it's always kind of fun to do. To be downtown Dublin quite a bit. But first, I'm going to announce our only guest today, which is Dinky Parrish. It was kind of funny when I happened to see the email yesterday about our guest speaker, because last year, right before COVID started, I sold my business after 40 years, and I merged with a group, and our offices are on the 4th floor above Cap City in Bridge Park. And one of the things I noticed down there is, even after COVID, a little bit during COVID, it's such a vibrant area to be in. And back and forth across the bridge, now that it's open, there's a lot of people, down there. So one of my finds was going to be, if you haven't been downtown and been to the farmer's market or at Dora, you owe $1. Because getting out, now that we can do that, and the vision
That's
that,
an open-ended.
the vision, what's that?
If that's an open-ended one, what if you were just there last night and you supported a local restaurant?
Well, that's being down there.
Okay, because you said Dora only in the market.
No, sorry.
Like,
Dora only, or the,
I'm just trying to get out of it all.
or the farmer's market. You know, get down, enjoy it on the weekend, and because it is vibrant, there's a lot of people, and it's all fun. So that's going to be $1. And you questioned me,
I'll do
so
it.
that might be
I know.
that might be trouble,
I know.
but I'm going to be nuts.
I put
So
myself in there.
you owe $1 for that. And the other fine that you're going to have, so that I can get things moving along, I gave you guys tickets when you came out. I also gave you an opportunity to choose between a ticket or keep this coupon. If you chose your tickets to keep this coupon, you owe $1 too, okay? So those are my fines for today. Yeah. All right. The small pot this morning is $23. We're going back to tradition and not allowing you to have choice. So, if you would please. as our speaker. Pick a ticket out. I would appreciate that. All right. Thank you. All right, small pot winner is ticket that ends in 8517. That'd be you. Very good. I'll bring that up to you in just a second, Susan. And the large pot today is $275. And if you would do that for me again, please, I would appreciate it. And the large pot winner is 8498. And it's John Susie. So thank you all very much. Have a safe weekend. And go down to Dora or go down to the farm market.
All right, thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
And Paige is going to introduce our speaker. There was a little bit of a kerfuffle, people arguing about who was going to get to introduce Christine. Page 1.
I could see that.
Never win the pot, but you do get the honors. Well, welcome, everyone. I want to share with you this morning how fortunate we are to have the speaker that we have today, Christine Nardecchia. I hope you all had the opportunity here in the last day or two to read the bio that we've had sent around to all of us. And I'm not going to begin to touch that other than to simply let you know, as has already been stated, Christine is the Director of Outreach and Engagement for the City of Dublin, a job that she has done so well. But if I could give you just a brief backstory for a moment or two, like Brother Shaner, who's had his business here 40 years. I came here with our bank and we opened our Dublin office in 1981, which is 40 years ago, not real good at math. And since that time, at which our village was about 2,500 residents, 6 years later, we became a city in 1987. And today we're pushing probably 50,000, probably 85 to 90,000 in the city of Dublin, between 8 and 5 every workday, or at least when we had pre-COVID workdays periods. And if you think through all of the things that our city has had and done, and the quality of life that we have, that doesn't come from some incredible history. We've had a number of our members that are former mayors, Mike Close and Joel Campbell and Jill's husband, Chuck Cranstruber. But even with the quality of mayors that we have, it doesn't come without really good people. And what we have this morning is really good people. I mentioned Christine's name and people smile, and they smile because that's the way everyone remembers Christine and her smile. Her professionalism, it just comes. But if I could close with this introduction from a quote that many of us would remember, but possibly not all. One of the largest and strongest brokerage firms on Wall Street was E.F. Hutton, actually based in Springfield, Ohio. And their tagline was, when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. And I would tell you that when Christine Nardecchia calls, people answer. And they answer because they know Christine is calling to make our city better. And I'm hopeful this morning you get to hear some of the stories that she has and the success that she's made in making our city better, because she truly gets an awful lot of the credit for the things that we have here. So, wow. Christine, I'm honored. Please share your comments.
Well, thank you. That's quite an early Friday morning introduction. Well, good morning. Good morning. It is an honor to be back here. It's been a while since I've stood before you to talk. I think the last time I may have been here was probably standing up here with our good friend Super Nitz, who we miss very, very much. So it's just good to be in person, in Technicolor. Everybody looks so darn good. And before I talk to you about Forever Dublin, I do want to say thank you on behalf of the city for all you do in service, day in and day out. I often see you at our large scale events or in your yellow vests, marshaling with your sidewalk chalk. Thank you for that. Or delivering the booze at Dublin Irish Festival and now Dublin Irish Days. But I know that you serve day in and day out, and I want to thank you for that, and particularly your sponsorship in the last year, reaching out to our older adults. You were our first sponsor, the Dublin AM Rotary Foundation, for something called Box Lunch Wednesdays, which wasn't so much about Meals on Wheels food for those who needed it. It was for people who needed companionship, human touch, seeing others, and most importantly, getting information in their hands that got them through the pandemic. You volunteered for that, you helped to fund that, and we all thank you, and hundreds of seniors thank you. And we were able to reach people and get them some mental health resources that they needed because of them driving up to get a sandwich. So thank you so much for that. So I'm here this morning to talk to you about something called Forever Dublin. Oh, and by the way, if you're from Canton, Ohio, raise your hand. Yay! See over here. Yeah, we're Canton, Ohio proud, or Cantonians, right? Home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and Gervasi Vineyard. So I just want to tell you a little story about something called Forever Dublin. How many of you have heard of it? Good. I'm pleased to know that. In 2018, we launched this initiative. Many municipalities around the country really started thinking long and hard about aging in place. What does that mean? Aging in place meaning a way for you to be able to stay in your home, age there safely and healthfully for the rest of your life, instead of having to move somewhere else or have someone else care for you. A lot of communities call them age-friendly, right? City of Columbus opted for age-friendly Columbus, and there's a recipe, if you will. I think it's through AARP that you follow and have a checklist. But our council and our boards and commissions said we need to do our own thing and hear what Dublin residents want. How do we want to be that city on a hill in which you age in place? So the task fell to me to facilitate this, and I was able to utilize some wonderful partners who are ethnographers at Cardinal Health to be our listeners and our analyzers for conversations with hundreds of residents and caregivers about what it meant to age in place. Before we did that, we gathered experts from around the state who work in this space and asked them to design, not what's wrong, not what would you like to have, but just tell us what the city on the hill would address. Amazingly, the feedback from the experts and all maybe 300 or so of our residents and caregivers said exactly the same findings. They told us their stories. It was remarkably emotional and a very new experience for us to be in council chambers and city hall with such emotion, so much so that we had to get Centero to partner with us to be there on site to say, hey, see if you can't, you know, our good friend Mary Lee was there and she was a great partner to have with us as well. So it was just a journey. So the findings matched, and what we found was that these were the top categories: transportation, housing, and let me say housing, and housing. These aren't in any order of priority, but housing was pretty up there top. This realm of health, wellness, and social services, as well as technology. And so we got to work, and we worked with our good friend, a company we know of called Trusting and Company, worked with a few of you to help us come up with the brand of what we were going to call this. The one thing we did know is we were not going to call this aging in place. Nobody liked that term. But Through Claudia's research and facilitation of the brand, it was come up that we would call this Forever Dublin. The only thing we agreed to is said we will not have shamrocks, but you can have green. And so she came up with this remarkable brand called Forever Dublin, in which case we got to work. A little bit about the progress thus far. Again, this started in 2018. We were funded and got to work in 2019, and then of course the world stopped last year, and everything with aging in place took on a whole new meaning. But what we have been able to accomplish so far is amazing. When you think about government and the speed at which government gets things done, I don't think that applies in Dublin because we're able to get things done so quickly. The first is transportation. Council has funded something called SHARE, or the Dublin Connector. Half of it is funded out of our economic development dollars because we are using it as a workforce shuttle. And can you hear? Yeah, and half of it is funded throughout from the city to help our seniors get door-to-door service for wherever they go. If you haven't ridden on the Dublin Connector, I challenge you to do that. We're asking our residents to do this. I think we can do that, and quite frankly, might be a fun Rotary Day to do that. A few employees and I are going to be doing that this fall to ride the Dublin Connector to go out and do that. The second is housing. The city has invested heavily in a housing study through the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission. You all know, and for those of you who are in real estate or in finance, you know that housing is an issue across the region. And never mind affordable housing, whatever that means to you. It is something at the policy level that's got to be grappled with. I think everyone hears you. I think everyone hears all the residents throughout Central Ohio. The question is, how will we grapple that? So we are working instead on some resident guides. How do you accommodate your house? How do you, if something were to happen and you needed a ramp put in, how do you work with your homeowners association to get that done? And critically, if you have someone moving in with you for whom you are a caregiver, what are some of the things you need to get in place? So we're working with experts to get these guides written. We know we are not a social service agency, nor do we want to be, but we also know that no one's facilitating this in the suburbs, particularly a suburb like this, because most of our residents fall between the cracks, right? Their income possibly isn't low enough for them to qualify for a lot of county programs. And by the way, our county's number 3. So it's Union, Delaware, and Franklin. So that's a very confusing thing that our residents tell us when they want to go to a senior services agency. Where do you go? There's also a Central Ohio one. There's a lot of choices and they feel like they're going into a bit of a black hole. So rather than us being a social service agency, the answer to us was to contract with someone to help us get started. And we chose Centero. There were lots of conversations with a lot of organizations, but Centero is stepping into this space of senior services, and we have funded a part-time navigator. What residents told us time in and time again is, you know how when you go to a hotel and you say, I need concert tickets to this, or how do I get to that restaurant, or what's the best recommendation? They wanted a concierge service. And so that is precisely what we have funded in Forever Dublin, in hiring a Forever Dublin navigator. And it makes a lot of sense to be housed in Centero because they're connected to a lot of the caregiver and support resources that we need. And that prevents a resident from having to go to a website or call an 800 number to say, how do I sign up? What's Medicare 101 mean? I'm 63 years old. How do I get to this step? I can't see this. We have stepped into the space, the city of neighbor connections. I am really, really, really proud of this. Particularly in our code enforcement area. If we do get a code enforcement complaint, somebody's not getting their lawn mowed, if somebody, maybe a house looks abandoned, or a car has been in the driveway for too long a time, when code enforcement gets a call and they suspect something's going on, rather than just issuing a citation, we now have the partners and the capability to look into it, to say, what's going on that things got this way? And we can then not do, but facilitate those connections to help folks get in touch. And guess what? We know a lot of neighbors. We look at dots on a map and say, I know Ramona lives 2 streets from you. How about we get your grass mowed for you and get you through this and connect you to someone who can actually get you service. Let's forget the citation for now and go on.
I do like to mow lawns.
Yeah. I will say the hard part in this is sometimes seniors will call, I understand you have a free mowing service. No, we don't. That's not what it is. And we have terrific things through the Chamber of Commerce, like Community Service Day, that is extraordinary. And we are trying to work with them to sustain more information for those people that are served on that day, so that they have connections on every Saturday throughout the year, not just that first Saturday. So days like that are a great launch point for connection. The hub and the navigator I'll talk to for a minute. And then during the pandemic, everything just turned a little upside down for all of us, and the shift became outreach. And I have to tell you, the first thing my team did, we worked really hard to create how to shop online for your groceries, how to get your pharmaceuticals delivered, how to. We also had weekly contact with all 12 of our long-term care living facilities. They really needed support. Talk about being isolated. The community made masks. I mean, it was just extraordinary with those connections. And then our city manager, who becomes the chief enforcement officer during an emergency, directed that we needed to be able to take over if systems were to fail. If Meals on Wheels were to fail, the city would have taken that over. If a grocery, something would have failed, some sort of line, what could our fleet do to step in to keep those supply lines running? And that fell to our office to be able to get in line. And a lot of that is because it fell to not only older adults, but our vulnerable population. As is often the case in an emergency, some of our most vulnerable people are discovered. We discovered things like people who were utilizing the rec center for showers because they hadn't accommodated their own home, because they were going to the rec center after a stroke or acquiring a disability. So we were able to connect them with the navigator and the right resources to say, here, help this resident get the funding needed and the resources needed to get their home accommodated. So it was remarkable for residents to, rather than feel ashamed, but to feel embraced by Dublin. And I think Dublin is superb at doing that. And then finally, technology. We have done so much with technology, and part of that is because of our smart city goals and initiatives, but we have reached out a lot to teenagers who have launched things like teen tech support. It's like the Genius Bar, where you go in person and you take your iPhone and say, what's a cloud? How do I get, how do I store things? Or how do I FaceTime? And during the pandemic, we were able to connect students by phone. And they were like, what, phone? Phone? And yes, phone, with our older adults. And they had a lot of connections. And this August, for the first time, they will be meeting face to face. And we think it'll be extraordinary lifelong connections. All we did is connect dots. Yeah, there was a little behind the scenes, training manuals, arguments with attorneys telling me, don't tell me why I can't do this, how we can, but we did it. And these lifelong connections are extraordinary. So we did an Alexa pilot project. Many of you heard about that in 2018, where we connected volunteers in the community with older adults who were vulnerable, got an Alexa device to measure how aging in place could advance because of that. And what we measured was out of sight. Medications weren't missed because of med reminders. Daily check-in calls with long-distance adult children through their Alexa devices. But the single biggest surprise about that Alexa pilot project to me was that they felt relevant. They felt like they were with it. They could talk to their neighbors about technology. Well, I know of a skill. I learned it on my Alexa device, and their young something neighbor would go, what? You know a skill. So that's what that did. We're about to start phase 2 of that this fall, and we need to connect. I may reach out to you if you know Alexa and you'd like to meet an older adult in the community to help them learn how to navigate an Alexa device. I would love to hear from you. And it's a wonderful, long-lasting relationship. Again, we're just connecting dots of connection. So that's a little bit up. And then next year, we'll be planning an Aging Well Tech Expo. What is a smart home? What do you mean I can have fall detection software in my home that doesn't feel like it's spying on me? How do I utilize technology to stay in my home and be connected and well as possible? We've certainly learned that lesson the last couple of years. Via photo and someday in person, I'd like to introduce you to our navigator, Beth Baker. Beth has a long history in serving older adults, and she now is back to seeing people in person and will actually come to your home. We had a referral the other day about a youngish woman who is facing some terminal cancer. She's the caregiver for both of her parents who are older adults. She's able to go in and say, let's get this solved for you. Here are your options. That's the kind of support Beth and Victoria, her supervisor, the older adult program coordinator, is able to offer. So the types of things you would go to the Forever Dublin hub, which we call it the hub, and it's literally physically resides at Centero on Kramer Creek Court. You all know our good friend and member, Julie Rinaldi. She's been a great partner in this. And so the types of topics you can talk about are housing, transportation, home care. Medicare is one of the #1 questions. How the heck do I get enrolled in that? Certainly meal delivery, safety. Our police department in particular loves to partner with Forever Dublin to reach out to older adults, particularly when it comes to topics like cybersecurity. They're targets for so much. So the more we can arm them with defensiveness when it comes to this, the better. Emotional health, huge topic. We will be hosting a suicide prevention town hall later this fall. And one of the #1 age categories we'll be talking about is suicide prevention among older adults. And by the way, I will open your eyes here. When I say older adult, I mean 55 and up. Yeah. So that's pretty much 99.99% of those of us in this room. Here's a photograph of, guess who designed the website? Our good friends at Trustee & Company worked with us to develop this website. Here's just a screen cover shot with our cover guy that we love this photo. I won't give it up for anything. And it's really, really well done. And you can get to it by just going to foreverdublin.com. And you can please get your phones out now if you're on Facebook. One of the ways you can help is to like us on Facebook and spread the word and suggest to your friends that you like it. Because while there are events that Forever Dublin sponsors and hosts, I think there's one coming up about texting and messaging. That is really how we are building a lot of the lists so that people know it's there. And I will tell you what Beth tells me is that one of the #1 issues is caregiving. We have been thrust into such caregiver roles, especially in this past year. I've been in an intense caregiver role for the past 7 years. So it's germane to many of us. And by the way, my caregiving was in Canton. Not Canton. Some other notes of interest that have to do with this topic, which this is just one of the buckets that I get to oversee for my team. But just some other notes of interest is I do host a Central Ohio Suburban Roundtable on this very topic. Everybody has a little bit of a different spin on what they're doing and how they're doing it. But we do get these communities together. Frankly, Reynoldsburg is the one to watch, in my opinion. They are doing some extraordinary things with aging in place. They're just terrific, and I've really enjoyed. Some of the representatives are from planning, some from the city manager's office, some from not from senior services. So this is not about a senior center in a rec center. This really is about a much more overarching topic than a senior center. We do have a Forever Dublin community team, which we're about to expand this September. And they're just a group of advisors that get together and say, this is what I'm hearing, or how do I get to my neighbors? Or it's a way of us keeping our thumb on the pulse of what's happening in neighborhoods. I told you about the Aging Well Tech Expo and the Alexa pilot project. I asked last year, Leadership Dublin to develop an age-friendly business certification, and they did it. But we haven't implemented it yet because nobody can go anywhere in the last year. But we will be resurrecting that in 2022. And the objective is for you to see a seal of approval on a restaurant or retail door that says we're an age-friendly business. And that could be something as simply as a full-page magnifier to put on top of a menu. So they develop or specialized training for staff to deal with folks who have dementia or Alzheimer's. So that will be being picked up. We'll be meeting with Dublin City Schools this fall to talk about how we can partner with schools and older adults who live in the neighborhood. And then finally, I'm looking for some influencers, and that's the people in this room. So how you can help is, if you're interested, I am looking for more people to be on the advisory team. I would love it if you could spread social media a bit, and I'm looking for stories. Claudia, in her wisdom, has devised this concept of doing a blog of why Dublin is my forever home. And I don't know if you've ever thought about that, if you've ever gone to sit on a rock to say, why is Dublin my forever home and why am I aging here? Do I see myself growing old here? I'd love to know 2 or 3 bullet points about that. We'll turn it into a blog and get it out there, and we might even put your lovely photo on it. This is me, take a photo of that. You all should know how to get a hold of me, and I would be remiss if I did not tell you that our next big event after that little Dublin Irish thing is our annual Scioto River cleanup. The day before, my good friend, Erin Stanford, who oversees water safety or water health in the city of Dublin, will be your guest speaker on Friday, August 20th. And then we hope you will join us at Scioto Park to clean out that river, because in 2022, we're going to be doing them monthly so that we can send better data into the EPA. And that's all I have.
Thank you so much, Christine. And we will be participating in the river cleanup. More details to come. Our quote today is this. It's from Henrik Ibsen. A community is like a ship. Everyone ought to be prepared to take the helm. Thanks, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
There's got to be something with sharing the screen. Are you actually sharing the screen or showing the screen? Well, what I've done in the past is share the screen. I've never done it on a Mac, but on my iPad, for example, if I just share the screen, then anything I do should be, that should do it. And do the display. Yeah, let's try that because.
And if not,
Yep, that's doing it. So let me advance. That's what's doing it. Now it's advanced. So let me shut down.
No way.
See, now I'm getting full screen there and there. Yeah, share display and then do the slideshow from the beginning, and then we get full screen. Yeah, yeah, so share the screen. Thank you.